Good day, everyone. Welcome to the SASITA briefing session. We will be starting shortly. Please switch off your videos. They do slow down communication. Victor, in particular, you have a very disturbing flashing background. Thank you. Everybody, please switch your videos off and keep them switched off. And stay muted. We are seeing some people trying to log in. So perhaps let's give it another 5-6 minutes. Hey, Victor Wasbulal. I can barely blink. Yeah, Nogolunga, please switch your video off. And we'll stay muted.
Good morning, Mr. Naika. Please switch off your video.
Mr. Naika, just switch off your video, please. Mr. Gary Naika, thank you.
Good day, Monisha Naika. Please switch off your video. I think we will be starting shortly. Morning once again, colleagues. We are starting. I think the others will find us along the way. Let me. Mr. Naika, please switch off your video. That light behind you is disturbing. Yeah, admitting that. Can I just see thumbs up if everyone? Oh, Mr. Naika. Going to have to let you out of the meeting. We'll come back just. Mr. Naika, please get assistance with the video. That light is truly disturbing behind. I'm going to temporarily remove you from the meeting. My team is going to readmit you when you've resolved. Ne? Thank you. Thank you so much. May I see just by thumbs up if everyone can hear me, if I can proceed? See your thumbs up on your systems? Yes, yes, awesome. Awesome, thank you. Welcome everyone, welcome to the SASITA briefing session. My name is Miss Linda Ngomalo. I look after the grants and project management department. Today we're going to take you through the funding window adverts that have been published. We currently have a funding window that is open. It is open for non-pivotal programs, which I'm going to explain shortly. And it has opened as of yesterday, the 7th, will remain open for a period of 21 days. It shall close on the 28th, sharply at midnight. Thank you everybody for making the time and availing yourselves and attending. I'm not sure about the weather elsewhere. Out in Gauteng, it's nice and miserable and wet. But I think the farming community is happy about the weather. Just a few meeting protocols that are necessary whenever we have virtual meetings so that we maintain order and we can hear one another. Look at me saying funding window 2. I will correct that. Sorry, it's the 3rd funding window. In terms of the program that we have today, I'll come back to the meeting protocols. Everyone, please stay muted for the duration of the meeting. We're going to cover the opening and welcome, which I've just done. Then we will do the meeting protocols, which I will explain shortly. Then we will take you through the 6 adverts that have been advertised one at a time. We will then take you through the application process. what to expect in the evaluation process, some useful tips because we've been doing this for a while now and we'd like you to be successful in your application. We'll also share with you common application mistakes, and then at the end, we will afford you the opportunity to ask questions. In terms of meeting protocols, please keep your videos switched off. They do slow down the presentations, and the background lights in some instances is disturbing. And I'm sure we have seen on social media and elsewhere, there can be some interesting background activities that are not necessarily for public consumption. So for that reason, please keep your videos switched off. And then we have, please keep your microphones switched off at all times. When we need to ask our questions, there will be an opportunity. You will raise your hands, you will be duly recognized. Then you can unmute your microphone, ask your question, and then we will respond to that. Colleagues from SASITA, we are seated in boardroom 4. Those who may want to join us here, we still have a few seats available, not too many, about 5 more seats. So colleagues can join us, but the external stakeholders, please stay online. This is not an invitation to drive through to SASITA. That effectively is our program for the day. As I've indicated, my name is Ms. Linda Ngamalo. I look after the Grants and Project Management Department of SASITA. We have currently advertised 6 programs for where we are inviting proposals from the stakeholder community. And I will be explaining with each one what the requirements are, etc. For those that are not necessarily in our space, in the learning space, non-pivotal effectively means that these are projects that advance the causes that SASITA is mandated to do. However, these are not necessarily credit-bearing. So it's unlike your typical skills programs, learnerships, etc., that will lead to a qualification on the NQF or the National Qualifications Framework. So it is various interventions, and as you will see, when we explain each of the projects, you will see that not all of them, in fact, I think there's only one that is actually linked to training. It is very important to ensure that over the application process, we're able to attract the correct stakeholders to apply for this funding window. I need to say upfront, this is not a funding window. It's not the typical funding window where we invite SASITA registered employers to apply for grants. This is not it. But as I explain, as I go through each advert, I'm going to explain what each of the projects requires. Please stay muted. What each of the project requires, and who is eligible and who is not eligible, what is included, what is excluded, what to expect, etc., etc. And I am hoping that the colleagues will make the most of the briefing session, because it will assist you to submit the type of applications that we're looking for. In order to avoid any sort of miscommunication, Mr. Victor, please switch your video off. And Everyone will stay muted. Thank you. Awesome. We can read this, mustn't we? Okay, cool. The first advert that we've got out, all of them, they start with a definition of what non-pivotal grants are. So it's a non-pivotal, it's for initiatives that advance the goals and objectives of our sector skills plan, objectives of the National Skills Development Plan, as well as interventions that have been laid down in the grant regulations that are not necessarily credit bearing. I'm not going to read each advert verbatim, but I require that you please, if it is relevant to you, please read that advert. I'm going to be highlighting the key things on each advert that need to be noted and considered when applying. This particular project is directed at community policing forums or fora, depending on what tickles your fancy. We're looking at community policing fora. We're looking at neighborhood watches. We're looking at street committees. We are looking, in short, at those community-based organizations that seek to protect and promote peace in localities and neighborhoods. We have our Baba who keep the communities safe while we sleep at night. They do the patrols. They work hand in hand with the police. Some are informal. We welcome the informal ones as well. We're going to assist you to be formalized. Some are formal and registered, and we intend to assist those. In total, we're going to be looking to capacitate a maximum of 300 beneficiaries. We have identified 3 provinces where this project will be implemented. We are only inviting CPFs, neighborhood watches, and street committees from these provinces. The selection criteria is based on the top 30 police stations with the highest number of reported crimes. If you look at the end of the advert, we have the list of the police stations that we will be working with. This effectively means that CPFs that, for example, this is Gauteng, CPFs that are located in the areas that are covered by these police stations may apply, because our intention is to reduce the rate of crime that has been reported and is perpetrated in these jurisdictions. So, for example, who is not here? Germiston. For example, if there is a CPF that is based in Germiston and wishes to apply, as you can see, the Germiston police station is not advertised. Therefore, we do not want to see any proposals that are not covering these police stations. They are listed here. I was disappointed to see my friends from Embangeni. I'm from that general direction. We don't want to feature for all the wrong reasons. But colleagues and neighbors in Embangeni, please, let's do something about our neighborhood and everyone else in these neighborhoods. The Western Cape, I think most of us would have seen most of these police stations in the news for all the wrong reasons. So to be clear, only in these police stations jurisdiction. And we will be confirming that through a letter from the station commander in each of those. So we will be doing about 100 in the Western Cape, 100 in Gauteng, and 100 in KZN. What we are actually requiring from the applicants are proposals to say, we are a street committee that is based in Khayelitsha, and these are the issues that plague us, and this is how we want to assist. Now, as part of the standard package that SASITA is offering, we will assist the neighborhood watchers who do the patrolling. We will assist them with formal. Please stay muted. No. Please. Okay, thank you for muting me as well. Colleagues, allow me to take questions at the end of each advert at the very least. So at the end of each advert, you will be able to ask the questions that you have. So it's the serial registration. So please make sure that you understand what the serial registration process and fees are and make that part of your proposal. We will also be providing some PPE, very basic PPE for the neighborhood watchers to do what they need to do. We obviously would want those to sort of be branded as well, must be, neon colors, etc., etc. So in your proposal, make sure you include the cost of branding. We'll be supplying things such as reflector vests, the whistles, safety boots, torches or flashlights, for the selected learners. We will supply some basic tools of trade in order for them to be able to stay in touch during patrols. And this will be in the form of two-way radios, batons, defensive or pepper sprays, handcuffs, and security surveillance systems for those beneficiaries. Because you are in your particular communities and you understand the dynamics of that community, you are encouraged to submit a proposal or proposals for any other goods and services that you may require in order to make your street committee or neighborhood watch or CPF to work more effectively, as long as those are not excluded below. As part of your application, you would need to have identified a duly accredited provider to provide the skills program that we have put together. So there is a prescribed program that is part of this proposal. It is annexed, it's Annexure A to this advert, and that is the skills program. We've taken one of the standard ones and we've added a couple of modules that will make it. So this particular one does have a pivotal element in it, but it's a very small section. To be clear, this is not an invitation for training providers to apply. It's still for the CPFs to apply for all the other services, including a training provider. In terms of exclusions, we're not going to fund everything. Okay, just to be clear, we will be providing, we will pay a stipend to the beneficiaries for a period of 3 months. So SASITA will make those payments directly to the learners, so that need not be part of your proposal. But when we do the contracting, we will reflect it so that we can set aside the funds required. In terms of exclusions, this is strictly for unemployed persons. So people who are full-time employed or full-time studying are expressly excluded. We won't be buying any firearms or ammunition or paying for licenses, bulletproof, metal detectors, strong rooms, perimeter fencing, guardhouses, infrastructure, patrol or any type of vehicle. No persons with a criminal record may be registered with SERA. Thus, we do not accept anyone with a criminal record on this project. But there is another one where we do. Entities that are not a community policing forum or neighborhood watch or street committee. So very, very clear. This is not for training providers. It is not for regular employers. It is for the communities, the CPFs that operate in the communities. And even if you're a CPF or a street committee and you're not operating in one of the listed areas, this advert is not for you. We have indicated these things will be useful after there's been an appointment, but because we want you to give us a recruitment strategy as part of your proposal, we have indicated who needs to be there. Remember, for any of the social packages in South Africa, only South African citizens are eligible. There's a whole lot of other requirements that we would require everyone to be familiar with. In terms of what is required in the application process itself, we require an application form, not application form, very important, proposal, not more than 20 pages, please and thank you. Just stick to what is important. In order to even be eligible, we will need a letter stamped by SAPS, issued by the station commander from one of the stations. So this letter will say, yes, street committee so and so, sometimes it's called Ward 13 or Ward 32 or whatever. They operate in this area that is within our jurisdiction, and we as the SAPS therefore endorse their application. Then we'll need some proof of existence. We understand that some are informal, and we will be open to persuasion in terms of what would be acceptable, because part of our mandate is to formalize the sector. We will assist with the formal registration. And if for the training provider, you would need to supply those documents. Yeah, those are the key things. And the applications close at midnight. I'll show you how to apply shortly. Only online applications. So you don't apply on Indicium, you don't apply via courier, you don't post, you don't hand deliver, nothing. There is a link that is attached to each advert. Please follow that link. It's on our website. I'll show you how to access it. We need all the supporting documents that we have stated that we need. Extremely, extremely important. Combined total weight of your documents should not exceed 20 megabytes. If it is over 20 megabytes, we will not receive your application and you will not have any further recourse. You must attach a clear proposal which shows us clearly how this project will be implemented in the project. For all our shortlisted candidates, we will conduct a due diligence assessments to verify the existence, the capacity to deliver, etc. There is the link. It is provided there for you. I apologize there. Closes at midnight. The supporting documents must be attached to the link. So it's not like you are going to go to the link, submit, and then everything must be in the same document. I will take a brief pause and take any questions on this. Going once, going twice. Almost said clear as mud. Mr. Blessing Simpiwe Dumisani Ntuli, I recognize you. Please ask a question.
Yeah, bengicela ukwazi la ungakwazi ukungisendela le presentation.
Sorry?
Oh, bengicela
yakwazi ukusendela ini?
I-presentation manje le presentation ndoba to present angakwazi ukuyithola ku-email.
Sizowa-publisher on the website. We're not going to email, Baba. Masekudlule i-briefing session sizowafaka ku-website.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu ma.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any, you may put your hand down, sir. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Shall I move to the next advert? Going once? Going twice? Gone. The next one that I have is for crowd, mob, or group psychology. Not sure if we have the targeted people in the audience. Please stay muted. What's this here? Monisha. I don't know why I can't mute like this. I say mute. Oh, no, Sibongile. Can we please, Sibongile, please mute.
Good morning, everyone.
Who's that? Colleagues, one last time, meeting protocols. Keep your videos switched off. Keep your microphone switched off at all times. If you wish to ask a question, please raise a hand. I will recognize you at the appropriate time. And when I've recognized you, only then may you ask your question. So please stay muted, Sibongile and others. If there is a question, please put your hand up before I move to the next advert. Going once, going twice, gone. The next opportunity that we have and are inviting proposals for is a project that SASITA is implementing with the South African Police Service. So in this particular instance, we have the beneficiaries, or at least SAPS has the beneficiaries, and we will provide those to the project. This is an initiative that we are doing particularly with the Public Order Policing Unit of SAPS, the ones who, when there's toys and stuff, they maintain order there. They have identified 411 officials. They are platoon and section commanders. Their ranks are warrant officers, captains, and lieutenant colonels. Obvious, guys, please, let's stay muted. I'm not sure what the challenge is. It's very interruptive to hear this background noise. I'm asking nicely. If it persists, colleagues, we're gonna have to remove people from the meeting. Please. Ivy, if it continues, please assist me and remove people from the meeting. So it's for 411 SAPS officials. In those ranks, obviously, the program delivery must be pitched at such senior levels. SAPS has identified a need to capacitate these leaders in terms of how to understand group, mob, or crowd psychology, what makes them tick, what causes a protest that seems to be nice and quiet and orderly and peaceful, suddenly it goes left, and before you know it, there's chaos all over. So we want to capacitate our police force to be able to identify these and handle these early. So as indicated, we will provide the list. And in terms of the proposal, we are looking for persons who in the proposal will demonstrate that they have an understanding of law enforcement tactics and guidelines. Being a Linda Ngumalo who has not worked in private security or in policing or in the army or anywhere where I'm really a lay person. I would not be eligible to apply. Please demonstrate the capacity and experience in coordinating training interventions for national projects. This is a national project. We would want to see the disbursements cost. Obviously, we cannot contain the full project value. Some of these will be kept variable, but obviously you need to link it to government rates. For example, no 4-star, no 5-star accommodation, only manual cars unless you have a disability or your driver's license is automatic. All of those considerations to be made. And we have given an outline of what the police have indicated in particular they want to be addressed on. The psychology definitions, the group dynamics, the group forming, crowd behavior theories, mob mentality, causes of mob mentality, how to de-escalate conflict, how crowd psychology can be implementing to disperse crowds peacefully so we do not have another Marikana incident. You will tell us how long the program is going to be and how you're going to assess that these lieutenant colonels have been effectively trained. Obviously, we want your experience in implementing projects of similar scope and size. You should meet all the statutory requirements. We are not looking for accredited programs, and these being employed learners, there will not be any stipends. Again, we need a proposal, not more than 20 pages. We need reference letters indicating that you have implemented projects of similar scope and size. The more the reference letters, it tells us you are more experienced, so the more the merrier. Formal registration, etc. Very important. We must have professional registrations with the HPCSA for the psychologists that will be conducting this particular training. And again, the requirements are similar. We will do due diligence. We close at that time, not more than 20 megabytes. That is the full information. I will pause here and take any questions and answers for any questions for the crowd mob group psychology program that we're inviting proposals for. If there are any psychologists in the room that wish to bid for this opportunity. I will take hands. Any questions? Going in 1, 2, 3. We move on. Okay, Nico from Africa Training, you have a question? Africa Training, sorry.
Yes, morning, how are you? And
Right,
morning,
Tinisa? Good.
Okay, I hear you mention psychology. So I want to find out if I were to link up with a psychologist, are we eligible to apply? Or should it be, specifically to psychologists?
Generally, as a rule, SASITA is not very much in favor of third-party engagements. If you do link up with a psychologist, we would need to see your agreement as part of your application. I will say on that one, we would play it by ear, but ideally we want practicing psychologists to rather apply themselves, cut out the middlemen, because then it also becomes a lot more affordable for the SETA. But we obviously cannot say do not apply, but you will be competing with practicing psychologists.
Okay, because my reasoning is because you can be bringing different expertise from both sides, you understand? So if you have the two combined together with those kind of experience, it can bring a lot.
We're happy to consider proposals, so we'll see at proposal.
Okay, and then.
Awesome, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Going once. Going twice. I see Tendani. You may unmute yourself and ask your question.
Morning.
Morning.
Yes, my question is around the driver training code 10 in rural areas.
We're not there yet, sir.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on the crowd mob group psychology advert? Monisha Naika, you may ask your question. Monisha, I recognize you. Okay, Monisha, please mute yourself if we're not asking the questions. Thank you. Going once. Going twice. Going thrice. Gone. Next, we are going through the advert for the code 10 driver training advert that has been pushed out, that has been published. Here we are looking to train a total of 450 beneficiaries in 3 provinces. Applicants to apply for one of the provinces. If you want to apply for more than one, you will need to submit more than one application, and each one must be clear in terms of which province you are applying for. On this one, SASITA has identified that e-driver's license has pretty much become a basic requirement for all job opportunities. With a qualification, in fact, some adverts even say must have own transport, and we're like, oh wow, entry-level positions requiring this. But SASITA has then decided to ngenelela in this particular challenge, and we are going to capacitate unemployed persons and assist them to give them this particular skill. The groups that we are wanting to work with are primarily beneficiaries whom SASITA has supported in the past, and they remain unemployed. For example, over the years, we have supported a number of candidate attorneys, a number of learners on internships. Some people have been on learnerships, but they remain unemployed. SASITA will provide that database. However, the service provider, the driving school, to be clear, will also be required to present us a recruitment strategy, because it should be a combination of the SASITA beneficiaries as well as beneficiaries from each of the 3 provinces. When we say in KZN we are going to train up to 150 beneficiaries, it does not necessarily mean that we will appoint one driving school and give them 150 learners. We will be guided by the number and quality of submissions that have been received. KZN is vast. Someone might be wanting to do the greater Durban area and all the outskirts, etc. Obviously, this project is exclusively for rural areas. So when we say KZN, don't go to Durban CBD. We expect you to go Ngenenanda and go to all the, apparently us from Zululand, we are rural. Go north, go KwaMhlabuyalingana, go next week, Mbazwana. Go and find all these remote and rural areas, and that is where we want to take the training. We're wanting rural areas that are hard to reach, that don't often have development opportunities. That's where we want you to go. So we may, for example, split up KZN, one person to do northern KZN, someone to do Midlands, and someone to do the southern parts. Or we will get one service provider that will do all. So the up to 150. So in your proposal, we're not saying apply for 150. If you want to go into a particular area in the Northern Cape, you say, I'm going to be doing Briska and Uppington and that side, and say, that's that. Northern Cape is vast. It might be too expensive to commute between the others, the various geographically dispersed areas. We will take our cue from your proposals. To be clear, this one is inviting strictly driver training schools, nobody else. So if you're not a registered driver training school, commonly known as a driving school, this advert is not for you. We want you to submit your proposals. In your proposals, we want you to indicate how you're going to recruit and select the 150. We want to obviously see that you're not going to bring all your uncles and gogos and babas and people just in your ward. Show us how it's going to be fair, and when you have all these applications, how you're going to narrow it down to the number you wish to offer. You will be required to train people to obtain their learners. Remember, we are targeting some of the people, and we are going to insist on this. Some of the people will be people who are not necessarily literate. So how are you going to make sure that you prepare them, for example, in the language of their choice? They can take learners. So if, for example, you are coming in KZN, you know, we want to see, how are you going to make sure that message sent, message received? You will be required to train them for e-learners, practices, as well as e-drivers. Okay, by line. Learners licenses for up to that number, and specifically we're looking for code 10 so that Makvela Matuba, they're able to position themselves. Arrange the eye tests for everyone. Make sure that you arrange and pay for the learners test and the learner's license itself, the driver's license itself, including the temporary licenses where applicable. And we expect you to give us in your proposal how you're going to train the 150 people to reach E-Code 50, what are your assessment and reassessment policies, etc. SASITA will pay directly to the beneficiaries a stipend for a maximum of 2 months. The stipend is meant to assist that the learners are able to travel and come and sort of meet the driving school somewhat in the middle. If, for example, you are training and people are coming from deep rural, they can come to the nearest town. But let us be guided by your proposal. What we're putting on the table is SASITA will be providing them with means to travel in order, but we will do this for a period of 2 months. So that should already be telling you that in your proposal, show us how you will take someone who's never been inside a vehicle as a driver and all the way to quality when they obtain that lovely coveted pink card. We'll pay this directly to the learners. What SASITA will also do, we will, and it need not be part of your proposal, we're just letting you know, we are going to be sending our team from the strategic projects units that assist in terms of career guidance. We will offer career guidance and a work readiness program. This is where we're going to be assisting them on how to build CVs, how to respond to job adverts, how to present themselves during interviews, and all the little tips that will assist an unemployed person with, you know, some skills, some techniques in order to be able to pursue employment opportunities. Make sure that you meet all your statutory requirements. You would know. We're not looking for the TETA program that is credit bearing, that from that professional driving qualification. Obviously, this does not mean we are excluding the training providers who are accredited. If you're an accredited training provider, you've got the driving school, etc., you will just do the training without the POE. All we want is the learners and the driver's license. And this is only for code 10. So no code 8, no code 14, A, B, C, D, or whatever. We've given you some guidance in terms of the beneficiaries that must be recruited. We want to see your recruitment and selection strategy, clearly indicating that you understand. In terms of the application requirements, they are very, very similar to the others. Proposal, not more than 20 pages, please. Put references indicating that you've successfully completed projects of similar scope and size. Similar scope and size, that's your keyword. We want to know that beside teaching people to drive, have you managed projects of a similar scope and size? We want reference letters, obviously not reference letters from 2010. They need to be recent. There's thousands of driving schools in the country. You've got to make sure that your proposal stands out one way or the other. And the same exists for all. Just a reminder, this is in the 3 different provinces, KZN, Northern Cape, and Mpumalanga. Does it say Mpumalanga at the top? The lady from Mpumalanga was the first to respond. She's obviously looking out for her province. There we go. That's the rest of the information. I will take questions related to the driver training code 10, if any. Please raise your hand if you have a question. I will recognize you, then you may ask your question. Going once. Going twice. Gone. The next one is also for driver training. This time it is for code 14. And those that are interested in the code 10, please listen carefully on how the 2 projects differ. The first one, the code 10 that we spoke about, is for unemployed persons that will be recruited either from a database that SACITA is going to provide, a combination from the database, and you will also recruit. This particular one, this is a project that we're implementing for the South African Police Service. They are saying to us, again, from the public order, what's it called? Public Order Management Unit of SAPS. These are the men and women in blue. Remember, in order to get into SAPS, they already have a driver's license. They have their driver's licenses, but it is not a code 14. So they're looking to upgrade their driver's licenses to code 14 so that they are able to operate the nyalas and like for crowd management purposes. So on this one, you will not be recruiting any learners. SAPS will provide you with the officials from that unit. You will see them. They have some maruninyana in their uniform. The public order twat. You will be required to assist them for learners and licenses for code 14. You will assist them with the eye tests. pay and book the learners and drivers licenses, do the practical driver lessons, and get them the temporary licenses. Again, we're not looking for credit-bearing training. We're not looking for any other code than code 14. Specifically excludes PDP. Even on code 10, we don't want a PDP. And there will be no stipends. These are salaried people. Must meet all the requirements. And again, a proposal not more than 20 pages. And the criteria is stated there. Your application, a reminder, when you have scanned all your documents, compress them as much as you can. Your email, your application must not exceed 20 megabytes. If it is more than 20 megabytes, SASITA will not receive it, and you, the applicant, will have no recourse whatsoever. So you cannot say, well, here it is, We simply will not refuse it and not receive it, and that will be the end. I will take questions on the code 14 project. Clear as mud or clear as day. All right, going once, going twice, gone. We are moving. Okay, so indicating there's a hand. Elise Korf, we recognize you. Please ask your question.
Hi, good morning. I just want to know in which areas would the code 14 driver training be?
Those, at this point in time, we will also be guided by the service providers. Indicate for us, as you know, the police force is vast. Indicate to us the areas that you're able to provide training in, and we will match that. SAPS will provide us with a list later on, and we will match those. But at this point in time, we're not limiting. It must be national.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions? Thanks, Elise. You may lower your hand. Do we have any other questions? My team will let me know if I'm missing anyone. Okay, I want to do the drone one last. Next, we are doing the second last project. This particular project, SASITA in its ecosystem has both the perpetrators of crime and victims. We also have the various law enforcement agencies. We have the justice system, etc. When it comes to ex-offenders, parolees, and probationers, we find that generally they struggle to reintegrate into the communities that they come from. In some instances, they literally, who speaks Zulu here? They get exiled. Sorry, I think in Zulu and I have to speak in English. They sometimes literally, when they come out of jail, they go and start their life afresh in a community that does not know them. SASITA cares about the reintegration of these ex-offenders, parolees, and probationers, that they are supported so that they can be economically independent and do not have to reoffend in order to make a living. In this particular advert, we are inviting exclusively two categories of applicants, either non-profit organizations or halfway houses. Either non-profit organizations or halfway houses. That is part one. 2, you must specialize in aftercare support of ex-offenders and parolees and probationers, obviously. That is requirement number 2. Requirement number 3 is that the Department of Correctional Services must know of you. So you must have some sort of endorsement, registration from the department itself. What we are looking for, we are going to start very small on a pilot on, 100 of offenders, parolees, and probationers. Obviously, these NPOs have been targeted because they understand parole rules, they understand probation rules, they understand how to work with ex-offenders, they understand the terminology, they specialize in these areas. They have programs that they have been running for ages that assist in both the rehabilitation and reintegration of offenders. So in this proposal, we would want to see what sort of intervention are you proposing? What skill are you going to be training this person on? The training need not be unit standard aligned, but it can also be. So we're not saying we're excluding unit standard aligned programs, but very important, do not try to give them, for example, a GSO, which someone with a criminal record cannot do. We must be mindful that 100% of the people have criminal records. Therefore, whatever skill or trade you are training them on, they should be able to apply their trade even with their criminal record. And whatever skill you're giving, you need to demonstrate that it will allow them to be economically independent, i.e., preferably to be self-employed or to work in industries where a criminal record is not a deterrent. But for example, we are currently involved in a project where some of the group, we are working with offenders who are about to be released, and we are teaching them cell phone repairs. And they will go on to repair cell phones on their own, and they will be self-employed. We're creating self-employment opportunities so that they don't have to face the repeated humiliation of being turned away because they have a criminal record. And the proposal must cover 1, how you go, what skill and how you're going to impart it. 2, how you're going to reintegrate them into the community. So there are those social programs that are generally recognized and accepted to reintegrate. We will be conducting impact assessments after 6 or 12 months, 6, 12, and 24 months. We want to see how many of these ex-offenders do not reoffend at this point in time, and to see whether they're able to actually, they are in fact economically independent. So in your proposal, please let us know what are the success indicators that will enable us to conduct these impact assessments. Tell us how you're going to recruit and select the ex-offenders, parolees, and probationers. The proposed program should not include beneficiaries that have no chance of rehabilitation. You know, the ones that keep on reoffending and reoffending. There's the term I can't even pronounce, recidive, that one, about the people who continually reoffend, and those who have been classified as hardened criminals, and those who have been engaged in contact crimes. Very important, again, you must be an NPO or halfway house that specializes in this. Obviously, in your proposal, we're not going to consider refurbishment, infrastructure. We are staying away from restorative justice programs, those in the space, no, and we are not going to fund research initiatives in this area. Same process, you submit your proposal, not more than 20 pages, and we will need this number 2, this endorsement by Department of Correctional Services that NPO Mang works with the department. We recognize them. They meet all our requirements in order to work with this particular stakeholder group. In addition to the letter, we want the letter from DCS. We want reference letters indicating that this is not your first rodeo, that you have implemented projects of similar scope and size recently. And proof, obviously, that you're either an NPO or a halfway house, including the DSD registration, very, very important. In your tax clearance, remember, we want to see your PBO letter. So please be careful. Make sure that you submit your PBO and your one-time PIN. We want both in that particular instance. The process and everything is the same. I will take questions on this. Do we have any questions? I am looking for something. Sabelo. Okay, Sabelo, I understand there's a question from Sabelo.
Sabona njani?
Sikhona baba ninjani?
Sikhona. Usabela Cebe kukhulu uzamazama development.
Yes,
It's an interesting project or program they show you. But let's say for an NPO that deals with offenders, but it's not recognized by mhlambe social correctional service. But it's work in hand with the social development or Childline or NICRO and all those other stakeholders that are CISA, ex-offenders. When you can request incwadi from NICRO, or you can request incwadi from inkantolo those who sebenza kwayo for the program, or you just out and you out. Thank you.
I think sizo recommend ukuthi zisondeze no Department of Correctional Services. Ngani ngoba, in order for you, because what you are indicating is one group, it's the ex-offenders, those who are already out of the system, therefore they are, it's easy to access them. But for parolees, you need to work with the department. For probationers, for people who are currently on probation, you also need to work with their probation officers through the department. So if you know your portfolio is already broad and vast in the space of ex-offenders, sondelana ne Department of Correctional Services and try and establish that relationship, because you will not be able to access the very important two parts that we want to work on, that is the about to be released offenders or just released on probation or parole. So it is for that reason that SASITA and DCS, we're implementing this with DCS. We insist that you must, unfortunately, have their endorsement because in order for you to access, you need to have been screened and vetted, that you understand parole rules, probation rules, you know, the whole offender reintegration universe. So on that one, please contact EDCS and see how you best overcome that hurdle. But if you're only submitting a proposal for ex-offenders, it would not meet the full requirements. We want all three categories: offenders, parolees, and probationers. We've got Tunyiko. I recognize you. May I ask you a question?
Okay. Good day again. I just want to find out, concerning the letter from the correctional services, wouldn't it have been easier SETA themselves will say, okay, guys, if you're interested in this, now that we're having a program, we as a SETA, you can come to us and say, we are doing this, and if you are interested in applying, we can give you a letter for you to approach the correctional service. Why am I saying this? Let's say somebody has been working, like what the gentleman has stated, has been working in the space, but you have worked with correctional service, but not in an extent where you've been working to that level. Because sometimes what I understand is correctional service, for them to say, someone who said, I need to work with you, I'm working with offenders and all that. Some of them, they will tell you, but what you're doing is more of, you are trying to solicit funding on our behalf. But if now SETA were to say, we have a letter say, you not free your own submit approach, and then they say, okay, this is from the SETA, you know that somebody is soliciting on their behalf, so they understand what's going on.
Okay. On this one, we have met with EDCS, and we have okay, I don't know whether that's your background. Please mute. We have met and we have agreed that this is a requirement that is a non-negotiable. SASITA does not have the capacity to facilitate that, number one. Number two, we are also specifically looking for those NPOs that are already doing this and have proof that they have done this successfully a number of times. There are dozens of NGOs that meet this criteria, and we know that we are not going to be teaching them, for example, about the new aspect of parolees and probationers, because that is a very sensitive and highly regulated area. So when we met with the DCS, we agreed that we will only consider those that have gone through a process, yes, at DCS. We will not be taking, we will not be appointing service providers who are now extending their scope and branching into this area. We need those who are already in the area and have reference letters in addition to the endorsement to say, yes, we have worked with not only ex-offenders, but we've also worked with people that are on parole, people that are on probation, that you understand that entire ecosystem, the rules and the regulations. So in terms of our research and discussions, we have more than enough NPOs that are duly recognized in that space. Do we have any other questions? Nico, if you're satisfied, oh, there we go. Any other questions before I move on to the very last project? It's been a learning curve, this one for me, hey? I keep saying to my colleagues, by the end of all of the research that we do, I really need some certificates for me and my team. We are becoming experts in various fields. I'll take the last round of questions. Going once, going twice, gone. Right, the last project that we have is something that SASITA is really excited about, that we are moving into the 4IR family fully, boots and all, and we are and there's already talks of the 5th industrial revolution, but hey, we are here on the 4th. We are making it happen. Part of our mandate really is to make sure that there is we create access to short programs that, because of their very nature, they are new, may not necessarily already have unit standards and learning material. Well, there should be learning material, but there would be no registered qualifications as yet. To this end, SASITA is looking to train 100 learner pilots who will be trained on to become drone pilots. I'll tell you the license. It's an RPL. An RPL in this instance means something totally different. Remote pilot license. This is a highly specialized, highly regulated space. It's regulated by the South African Civil Aviation Authority. Everything that we need needs to be accredited and vetted therein. What SACITA intends to do, we would want to identify 100 employed persons. They must be employed in our sector by a company that is paying levies to us or is exempted by us, and they will be trained as drone pilots. Apparently, drone piloting is also, it's actually called Remotely Piloted Aircraft Systems, RPAS. We are looking for what is called approved training organizations. It's called an ATO, to submit proposals to train 100 people. And in this proposal, they need to tell us how they're going to identify the 100 people. They're going to prepare, train, and assess them on RPAS. They're going to do the booking, payment of fees, and facilitations of all the type of assessments. These include eye tests, medical tests, radiotelephony, etc. The end product of this is we're going to have 100 remote pilot licenses issued. We want these ATOs to do the booking, payment, and facilitation, and they will ensure that where temporary licenses are due, these are done, and any other services such as registration with the South African Civil Aviation Authority. This project expressly excludes non-South African Civil Aviation Authority accredited programs. We will not be purchasing the drones or any other equipment, no research, no unemployed persons, and persons that are not employed by companies that pay levies to SACITA. I will be training people who meet that requirements. Obviously, in the proposal, you need to demonstrate that you understand all the requirements by the Civil Aviation Authority. Again, proposal not more than 20 pages. Reference letters that you've done projects of similar scope and size. Accreditation by the South African Civil Aviation Authority as an ATO, an approved training organization to deliver RPAS. So that one is very specific, and the documents are there. To be clear, go to the South African Civil Aviation Authority. These are the only people that can apply. There's a list of accredited ATOs. If you are not one of these ATOs, thank you very much. It was nice knowing you. So it's only those duly accredited by the Civil Aviation Authority. I'm not sure if any of them, any ATO in the room that may have a question. I'm looking for questions on this particular one. Fabio, I can't even pronounce. Please teach me how to pronounce that name.
It's Braganza. That's Portuguese.
Braganza.
Yeah.
Lovely. Fabio, you may ask a question.
Good morning. So,
don't be too technical. I'm obviously not in the aviation space.
No, not to worry, not at all. So we are from Drone Safety and Legal. And I just wanted to find out from you, where can we get a copy of that document that you were just reviewing? Just so when we set up the proposal that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's.
All right, you will find this on the SACITA website. If you go to the sasita.org website, on the landing page, it will tell you about this. You click here to read. All the proposed adverts I've been reading are here. That one is here. You download it and Bob's your uncle. It's got further instructions how to go forward.
As a follow-up question also, in terms of timeframes, what is SASITA looking at for this entire project? Obviously, 100 students could take as long as SASITA wants it to take, so just for planning purposes.
The only indication that we can give is to start no earlier than January 2023. We will take the cue from the ATOs that are the experts in the field. So your proposal will recommend to us. Obviously, when we do implement, we will get in touch with our colleagues at the Civil Aviation Authority to provide some technical expertise in terms of whether what is being proposed is sufficient. So we open to proposals. We open to persuasion. This is a new venture for us.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for allowing me to ask a question.
All right. Do we have any? There is Olani. Olani, we recognize you. You may ask a question.
Good morning, ma'am. Thanks for the opportunity to raise question. Firstly, just to understand, our company has actually ran and facilitated such trainings, but we are not an ATO. We work with ITOs, which basically that means they will actually be our implementing partners into the program. So I just wanted to know, is that a cut and they say what is it totally that we must not put forward our proposal because we are not an ITO, and we have actually chosen to do so because managing such programs it's a specific technique and all that, and you end up having just an ATO concentrating on training while you facilitate and managing the program. That's my first question. Second question is, I hear you said employed sector. Is it an unemployed people, or you are going to be giving opportunity to people? I didn't get that question in regard to the employed sector comment. And then the last question is, are these 100 people from only, is it a specific area, Gauteng, or will they be coming from a certain region, or will it be anywhere? I think those are my 3 questions.
Okay. Thank you for your question, sir. The short answer to your first question is yes, only ATOs may apply. If you are working closely with an ATO, they will have to submit the proposal and you be their partner instead of the other way around. We will hold the ATO responsible, and because this is a journey that SASITA is partaking and is intending to learn from, we are deliberately aligning ourselves with ATOs, also as an ETQA body, a quality assurance body. We want to work with those who have met the stringent criteria so that we can elevate the sector. So it's one of those that I've indicated or nothing. That is question number 1. In terms of whether the beneficiaries are employed or unemployed, you will identify persons who are working in private security companies or the policing sector. That's number 1. 2, they must be paying levies or registered with SASITA, and obviously be able to go and implement this particular training. You will recruit them from anywhere in the country. the proposal will tell us if, for example, the ATO is based in the Western Cape, they will say we are going to do the Western Cape, and we hopefully, at minimum, we're looking for at least 3 provinces, just so that we can pilot in different areas and learn the lessons that we'd like to learn. So that is my answer. And in terms of, obviously, once we have appointed the ATO, we're going to provide guidance in terms of who our stakeholders are. For example, your most commonly known would be your Bidvest. Bidvest is part of our stakeholders. Fidelity is our stakeholder. Servest is not our stakeholder. So there might be a private security company, but they're not a SASITA stakeholder. So you wouldn't recruit from Servest. You would recruit from, who are the other bigger? You would recruit from Imvula, Durban, the likes. So we will obviously, in the recruitment process, in the proposal, you only need to indicate that you will recruit from our sector. Once appointed and during contracting and initiation of the project, you will then say, these are the ones I'm looking at. Are they in your sector? And we will use their living numbers and check whether they belong to the sector. But in terms of geographic spread, we're happy to take from any corner where the ATOs exist, and we're able to learn the lessons that we need to learn. We're doing this on a pilot basis, and we're hoping that we can grow the scope of the project. Those are the 3 answers to the 3 questions. Do we have any further questions on this? Going once, going twice. We are gone. Oh. I think everyone just waits until I'm gone and then hands come up. Byron, I recognize you.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
All right, in yourself.
Good, thank you. Thanks so much for today. It's been very insightful. I just, along with Fabio, I also am struggling to download the document that you shared previously with your screen share. I can't seem to find it on the SASITA platform. If you wouldn't mind maybe just running through that again on how to access that document, please.
Okay, we will do so. I'm also typing an email address. If all else fails, send to this address. But let us start again.
Thank you. Sorry.
In fact, that dovetails nicely to the next stage in the next item in any event. So we're moving to the next one in terms of the application process, which includes where to find everything. So you go to sasita.org.za. On your landing page, you find the discretionary grant. You click here to read more. There we go. So on here, every single one of the 6 adverts that I've indicated, they are here. So if you were looking for this one, you go and you download it. If you download, it's going to, there we go. It'll pop up there at the bottom. And then you would open it from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I followed that online with you, so that's perfect. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Just pleasure. Want to confirm no other further questions? I will come to the shy guys who were posting questions shortly. Let me just spend some time to go through that. Morning. Okay, morning. Gary. Oh, Gary was loving us this morning. Ivan Siegam, marking the register. Hello, we see you. You will need to, the recordings will be published on the website in the same space that we're looking at. Liz. he and she driver training. Okay, Fanti Kapstad, lovely. Oh, you guys have been networking. I must charge you a fee over here, hey? You guys are networking on my platform. You're not paying any tolls. We see you. We see you clocking in. We see you. We see you. No questions then. Just regular networking. Hi, Mrs. Ngumalo is my mother. Who's this Moletan? I'm Miss Ngumalo. Please, colleagues, we won't be able to send to everyone. We will publish the recording and the slides. Please just come and download them on the system. I don't want you to not apply and say, "Oh, we were waiting for SASITA," because as you know, after this, we're going to be flooded. So please download. We will publish these. Can a provider with DCS endorsement? Yes, that's who we're looking for, Milzet. If your question was provider without, then the answer is no. Okay. So I always want to start from scratch so that you can see how to apply. You go to SASITA. So you type in there www.sasita.org.za. You click here. Under discretionary, it says invites all interested stakeholders who meet the criteria stated to open here. Those are the documents. For those who have not worked with SASITA before, whenever we put out an advert, we always publish our latest policy. It is not for show. It is to guide you in terms of what SASITA will and will not do, will and will not fund, what we subscribe to, and for the credit-bearing programs, what our funding model is like. So that's that. So you would have come here to click and join this section, the session. If you want to apply, now this is when you're applying, and please let's not come here when you're ready to do the application. So please don't play around in it. You would come and do the actual application. So when you click on that, where it says click here, it will take you to the application process. First and foremost, you indicate which of the 6 programs you are applying for. So you're there, you're wanting to apply for drone pilot training, you select drone pilot training, you give us your legal name as SIPSI knows you, trading name, your SIPSI registration, SDL. The fields that are not marked with an asterisk are not compulsory. So if you don't have an SDL, you don't. If you do, you do. Let us know whether you up to 49 or you over 50. You give us your BEE, your percentage of ownership in terms of Black persons, women, people with disabilities. Tell us how many employees you have, how many sites you have, your admin staff want to see your capacity, the number of mentors or principals, the experts that will be assisting. Tell us about your BBBE level, and you give us the name of the person who we need to contact and your contact address, contact number, contact email. If you currently have a project with SASITA, please add, that'll be your number 1. You will say CBO training, project code SPU 1020. It was for $1 million. It started in 1st of March. It will end on the 30th of April, and it's for 80 learners. If you've got more than one, you click on add item, it will add another row. You keep adding until you have recorded all your existing projects with SASITA. Please do indicate to us if you have the projects with SASITA. Only if it is applicable, if there's going to be training that is done in your proposal. If you, for example, on the CPF Street Committee Neighborhood Watch, we require training there. They would tell us the training provider that they're partnering with. in the event of the ATO, they would put their details here with the structure of the ATO, contact details, and then, please, my lovely people, and we're going to cover why people don't go through. Executive summary. Tell us what this whole proposal is about. Please do not refer to proposal. We will promptly and effectively disqualify that application. There is a reason why we want you to summarize the project here, because it comes in a certain format that allows us to compare apples for apples. We've got different styles of writing proposals, and we want to make a uniform submission. So you tell us you are wanting to reintegrate ex-offenders, parolees, and probationers into communities through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 intervention. You know the executive summary must name. Just hit things that a CEO and executive would be interested in. How many, how much, where, when, why, those key things. And then you would indicate the type of organization that you are. Disetso, can you just, for removal of any ambiguity, can we add ATO on here? Like we public organization type. So if you here, let's just add so that there's no misunderstanding. There you select the type of business that you are. Yeah, no, we will adjust these. Those that are not eligible, I think it would be cruel to keep here because it will create some expectations. And after you have stated the type of business that you are, then we want you to upload all the documents that support that. Remember, your documents all combined must not be larger than 20 megabytes, because then it will not come through to us. You would need to put your CPC registration, or if you are an NPO, you put your social development registration. You put them there. You can add multiple files. Tax clearance, we need it here. If you are an NPO, we need your PBO letter and your one-time PIN. You add them there. Shall I just show you one? You do some, yeah, I don't want to play around in the live site, but you would go do that, go select a document, and then you attach it. It will show until you see it after it has loaded. It hasn't been uploaded. Your proof of accreditation, if it's applicable, not all projects will require it. Your BE or SON affidavit. When we say your SON affidavit, there's a prescribed DTI template. So it's not just any affidavit. If you haven't got a BE certificate itself that is SANAS approved, you can get the affidavit that you must make sure that it is properly deposed. Professional registration, it could be CERA, it could be a Fidelity Fund certificate. For example, on the crowd psychology, it will be your HPSA registration, etc., etc. Delegation of authority is very important. We need to know that the person that is submitting the application has been duly authorized by the said organization. We don't want to advance only to find that people just pick the name randomly out of a website and then go and try and negotiate a cut. Project proposal, this is where you would upload your project proposal that is not more than 20 pages. Your reference letters, you will put them here. Your letters that say ABC company has done similar projects, blah, blah, blah. They must tell us that how did you perform? Did you reach successful conclusion, etc., etc. Other documentation, for example, we're looking for the DCS letter, the station commander's letter for that project, Yama CPF. We want the station commander. The registration, you can also put it here. You can put it up there. We really, as long as it is attached somewhere. And then please just write in your words, just summarize that we have 10 years experience in aviation training, of which da 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 da. Just give us the summary of the projects that you have done. I have done this for DCS. I have worked with NICRO. I have done da 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 da. Then you summarize the project methodology. Again, do not refer us to the proposal. Tell us how you are going to implement the project. Summarize it. Give us a good paragraph or two that just tells us high level. The details, yes, we will read in your proposal, but these fields that you are entering here take you through the screening process. So if you're not marketing yourself in here, you're going to be in trouble, because we will be like, oh, okay, not compliant, we throw you to one side. So please do yourself justice and put the information. We want your success indicators. How will we know that this application, Diseto, can you add smart, ne? To indicate success indicators, ne? We want your indicators, we'll put their guidance, they must be smart, they must be simple, measurable, realistic, time specific. So a success indicator, for example, would be at the end of, by 31 December 2023, 100 ex-parolees, ex-offenders, parolees, and probationers will have obtained a qualification in So tell us when it will happen, how many, so that when we get to the end of the project, we're able to see to what extent the project has been successful. In terms of project scope, you include what is in scope, what is out of scope. You tell us who you're targeting, who you're not targeting. Make sure that you are clear about the exclusions that we've published on the adverts, so that you also don't offer us things that we have expressly indicated we do not require. And then we talk to your recruitment strategy, how you're going to recruit and select the beneficiaries that you're targeting. In each instance, we have indicated, for example, there's 2 projects that we're doing for SAPS. You will then indicate that we'll work with SASITA and SAPS to obtain a list of the beneficiaries just for those 2 projects. The other 4, we need you to tell us. And very important, tell us how this is aligned, to NSDP and the SASITA mandate. As much as we want to support all sorts of initiatives, you must always narrow it back to our mandate to say. So that implies that you would do a little bit of reading of understanding the skills development mandate, and in particular the SASITA mandate and our subsectors and our ecosystem. Again, do not refer to proposal. Please write in your own words which indicators. So you will see in the NSDP, we've got indicators with outputs. Link to an indicator, link it to an output, so that we can see that there must be clear alignment. And don't just repeat what the indicator says. You will state the indicator and you summarize how your proposal addresses that particular indicator. And very important, how does this benefit our sector, the safety and security sector? That implies you will have done some research to understand our sector if you're not currently operating in our sector, and tell us the things that talk to us. For example, to give you a tip, go read our sector skills plan, because it tells us what we're interested in. It tells us our ecosystem. It tells us what our targets are. Well, not necessarily performance targets. It tells you what our strategic direction is, what sort of interventions appeal to us. It's got a list of the programs that we generally gravitate towards, etc., etc. And how will this project benefit the recipients? Let us see to what extent are the recipients. So, for example, you would say the CPF people are going to get nationally recognized credits towards a qualification, and they will be registered with CIRA and will be able to conduct a lawful citizens arrest, you know, those legitimate sort of benefits to the beneficiaries themselves. Very important, risks. We need to see what risks are you identifying and what is your proposal. Look at the things that are within your control, in particular those that are outside of your control. List them up front, so that you know you give us a proposal, particularly in the space of the drone pilots, which is an area that is highly regulated, and it's new territory for us. So do point out any possible risks and how these can be mitigated, so that obviously it may shed some light in terms of your proposal, maybe your funding model structure, or even your funding rates, the rates that you are quoting. Then we will be able to realize, oh, it's because of distances, oh, it's because of these are the licenses. Tell us that in order to become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this examination costs an average of 4,000 per person, and that one, you know, give us the risks. People must be medically fit, therefore there's going to be medical assessments and the related costs. We want to know the project team, very important. The project team that you advance in your application must be the project team that implements. We're getting an increasing number of bids that look great on paper, only to find that come implementation, we are given the B team. We want the A team that has been advertised as part of the proposal. Make sure that you tell us who is the project manager, who is providing what type of support, who your facilitators are, their experience, their roles. Summarize all of these during the due diligence. This is where we're going to look for their qualifications, their professional registrations and other registrations, their CVs, their all of those things we're going to check. Exit strategy at the end of the project. How do you see this ending? Like, you've done all of these interventions, and then, so put that in your own words there, and then in your budget, please be sure to itemize your costing. Don't just put, I want 5 million, break it down, because we do find, for example, we might end up, let's say, on the code 10, where we're saying, for example, we want 150 per province. We might end up appointing 3 providers, or 2, or 1, or it doesn't really matter. So this itemized billing assists us in terms of increasing or reducing the scope that would be in your proposal. And I hope you've seen that in the adverts. In all of our adverts, we indicate that we reserve the right to either increase or decrease. So if by some miracle we come across some few last cents by the time we're done with the evaluations, we want to increase the number from 100 to 200, we will do so. We reserve the right to do so. Obviously, there will be engagements with the ones who are awarded. And if we want to reduce, we will also be able to do so. And very importantly, we reserve the right not to appoint anyone whatsoever. We also would like to see a market analysis that tells us how you arrived at the cost. And I'm not sure why. You know, where you can buy a bottle of Ivalpre, or what's this, Aquel, a bottle of water. All of us, we buy it for 5 rand at Macro. The minute that it's the government that is asking for it, suddenly the same bottle of water is 50 rands. We definitely do not have those kind of parties at SACITA. We will want to see market-related proposals So please, let's not get carried away with the costing. Don't cost yourself out of a good initiative. Obviously, our mandate is primarily to support NGOs, CBOs, cooperatives, and the like. So whenever we see proposals from that stakeholder group, because it's part of our mandate to build their capacity, we sort of lean towards those. Very important. Do you know any person connected or have any relationship, family, friend, or other with a person employed by SASITA involved in the evaluation process or a member of the SASITA board? Please, if you know me, this is the time to declare, and I will recuse myself. We don't want to find ourselves with scandals. This is not going to disadvantage anyone. If anything, it is designed for your protection. So please, if you have a family person, a friend, wife, spouse, girlfriend, mistress, disclose your mistresses as well. We want to know if they work for SASITA or they're a member of our board, because to later uncover this, I'm sure you have seen the number of scandals that are in the media, and please then let us know the nature of your relationship. Again, it is important that we declare and disclose. It will not be to your exclusion. However, it will serve to ensure that we protect the integrity of the evaluation process, and said persons will not participate in the evaluation. And Bob's your uncle. Lastly, we need you to declare that you understand that this is an application for funding and it is subject to approval and does not constitute any commitment by SASITA whatsoever. By submitting this proposal, we are not creating any obligation. We are not promising you anything other than to review your application if you meet your compliance requirements. You also declare that none of the applicants or the directors are listed in the National Treasury database as companies or persons that are prohibited from doing business with the state. So if you know that at one project you were given money to build a school, you bought a Range Rover, flew to Mauritius and forgot to build the school, and you are now blacklisted, you are still blacklisted. We thank you for your interest, but no thanks. You also declare that this information is factually correct in all material aspects. If we find during due diligence that this information, you have falsified information, we will disqualify you without further recourse. If, for example, you give us fraudulent reference letters, we will follow up with those reference letters to make sure that you've done the work. If you say you've got accreditation, we will validate and verify. So if we find that any of the information is in fact false, we will disqualify you without further recourse. And yes, you confirm that you are duly authorized to apply. You click there that you confirm, and you understand 20 megabytes. Please, 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 please. If you've got queries, you can email non-pivotal@SASITA, but you do not submit any application there. There's only one way to submit your application, and it is through this link by clicking everything that I have indicated to you. That's the link if you want to go. I don't know why anyone would want to go this route. Just go to our website and do so. Before I move on to the evaluation process, we are winding up now. I will take questions on the application process. There's a question, how many reference letters? As many as you have. The more reference letters, the better your chances. Yes, because it talks directly to your experience. So if you are bidding with others and one has 10 reference letters, one has one, we're definitely giving the work to the one that is already submitted, but there is a minimum of 3. Okay, yeah, my team is correcting me. Minimum of 3, but there's no upper limit. So let's see your experience, please. Thank you. Do we have any questions before I quickly do the last 2 sections and we wrap up? Going once. Going twice. Clear as mud. Okay. Quickly, we'll take you through what will be the evaluation process that we're going to follow. We follow a 3-phase process at SASITA when evaluating discretionary grant applications. The first phase, which is where the vast majority of people fail, you would find that there's 200 applications, only 50 make it through. A huge number of people do not make it. And this is why for every funding window that we are opening, we will always have at least one briefing session like this one so that we can explain and people are afforded the opportunity to ask the questions. And we have seen a steady increase of those that make it past the first phase. In the compliance assessment, this is where we are checking that you've met the requirements as stated on the advert. If you have to submit your HPCSA, the professional registration as a psychologist, and it is not there, boom, out. It doesn't matter how excellent your proposal is. Nothing else matters. You're out. We will not even look at the proposal. So it's very important that you pay special attention to all the requirements as per your advert. And you would have seen that for the first time, we have separated adverts. There's 6 different adverts. It used to be all in one, and you would say where applicable, and some people would, I don't know, conclude it's not applicable to them when it is in fact applicable. So we have now put very specific adverts for very specific programs. So I cannot over explain the importance of ensuring that you comply. If there is no project proposal, you're out. If there are no reference letters, you're out. If your CPC is not there, you're out. Your tax clearance is not there, you're out. Even if your tax clearance is there, it has expired, you're still out. Your BE is not there, you're out. Your BE is there, it is not sworn, it is not dated, it has expired, you're still out. All of those things. So compliance assessment, that is round 1. Please make sure that you at least get to the level where we will read your excellent proposals. Please keep it to 20 pages. Actually, a good proposal, you can do it in 10 pages or less. Focus on the important things. You know, don't use 14 size font and double spacing and take up all sorts of space. Just what are you trying to what problem are you trying to solve? What is your methodology? Who's your team? What are your risks? What are your mitigation? What's your timeline? What's your implementation plan? What's your budget? Sometimes you get proposals without a budget. Remember, you must itemize your billing. Don't just put a lump sum. Put your references, summarize your experience, those type of things. So we don't need to know about the president in his speech of, okay, hold on, just tell us what problem are you trying to solve? There is high crime in this area. This is the intervention. This is the training intervention that we are proposing. This is the cause outline. You can attach the cause brochure. There's an other in your. This is what the program entails. This is the duration. This is the number of people I'm operating in this particular province. I'm including people that are from this part of the province and excluding from that part of the province for these reasons. You know, just keep it tight. And if we like what we see in the proposal, in some instances we might like a lot of them, but not everyone is going to be successful. So the first level, the compliance assessment, is objective assessment criteria. So the review process is very objective in that it's either there or not, you're out. On the evaluation, then you are subjected to the subjective evaluation processes that talk to whether or not we think, that meets our requirements. Maybe it does, but another proposal is more compelling than this one. But those that at least talk to our mandate will then be shortlisted to a due diligence visit. We will conduct physical visits on a due diligence. This is where we come and we check out your premises. We make sure that you exist. We check you out. We write to the HPCSA. This is the registration. Is it valid? Is it bogus? This is your accreditation. We verify all of those. We make sure that you are financially okay to implement the project. We're not going to give you the first million and you duck. We want to make sure in the case of driving schools, we're going to check your vehicles, that they're suitable. They must have the roadworthy certificates. We check that proof of ownership of things that you should be owning in order to implement. We will check your tools and equipment. If, for example, on the things for the offenders, the intervention for the parolees and probationers, maybe you want to teach them on welding, you want to teach them welding skills. We make sure that when we come to, there is a workshop, it is duly accredited, it meets the basic occupational health and safety standards. You've got your guillotine, you've got all your other pieces of equipment that is required. So we will check everything during the due diligence visit. And if we are happy with the due diligence, one of two things will happen, even if we're happy. So some will go out and we're like, chance takers, sorry, bye, the end. In some instances, we may like, but not everyone will be successful. We go back to the committee, and fortunately for you, the decisions are not made by any one person. It is a 5-member committee that is there. I'm a non-voting member of that committee. I'm the 6th member, where we present the proposals. Everyone applies their mind. We bring a different skill set, all of us. We have someone from finance, we have someone from projects, we have someone from research and skills planning. We all look at the proposals from different angles. The collective will then decide on which 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many are going to be given the award. We are expecting to stagger the initiation of these projects not earlier than January. Best case scenario, we are closing on the 28th of November. We also want the Christmas break. Thank you very much. So we'll do the evaluations for the first 2 weeks or so of December. And we will probably, hopefully, by the time we close, we would have scheduled due diligence visits from the 2nd or 3rd week of January. So by the end of January, there should be some indication of whether or not you are successful. So in your implementation, the start date would not be later than the 31st of March. So in your logistical arrangements and thinking and planning and everything involved, we're looking at February, March, but they must have commenced before the 31st of March. Gonna give you a quick rundown of useful tips. We've been down this road. We know why applications fail. Number 1, fill in all the fields. Like, if we've asked for it, we usually need it. And if you don't think it is applicable, right there, not applicable, show us that you've applied your mind and you still don't think it is relevant. Very important, gather all your documents, look at your advert, gather your documents, upload them, save them, try and save them, relating to what the requirement is. You save and you say project proposal, you save reference letter, DCS, reference letter, subs, or whatever. Save all of them onto your computer before you start the application. Use the advert as a checklist. So take all of this, put it, and tick. Because I'm not sure why applications miss one document or the other when it is right there in the advert. And another tip, do not delegate the final check to someone that is junior in the company. You want the most senior person to just go and do the final quality check, because once it is in, it is in. There's no do-overs. You can be disqualified for documents that you actually do have, and there is no process for you to later on submit after we've closed. For those that are going to be proposing accredited programs, you see how your accreditation letters can sometimes be 20 pages. Please do us a favor, highlight the unit standards so that it assists in fast-tracking the evaluation process, because sometimes, and make sure that those letters are legible, please. I'm already old enough. We don't need to squint anymore. Few more useful tips. Double check expiry dates on all documents. There really is no reason why anyone would be uploading an expired BE certificate or professional registration. There's no excuse for it. So please ensure. Some people, you would find that they actually do have the current, but whoever was uploading, they uploaded the previous documents. So please make sure. Each document must be valid as at 28 November. So if you're in doubt about what expiry date is, let's just keep it 28 November and everyone will be happy. I cannot stress this enough. I say this at all the briefing sessions. Life happens. Apply early. Don't wait for the closing date. So if you're in a position to submit your application on Friday, submit on Friday, because there is absolutely not a single reason that SASITA will accept. You can't say there's load shedding, my wife died, my husband died, my child died, I was in a coma, I was in an accident, I fired that person, my dog bit me. There's absolutely not a single excuse. Load shedding, we're living with load shedding right now. So please do not try to start the process at 10 p.m. on the 28th. Just submit. If your application is not in by the 25th, you should be hyperventilating at that time, because life really happens. The website might crash because now everyone and their mother is suddenly online. None of those excuses will be acceptable. So, abegu. Very important, none of the SASITA staff can submit an application on your behalf or amend your application. So the full responsibility rests on your shoulders. Do not ask any of our team. There are no extensions. You can't submit after the closing date. After 28 November, the only people who will talk to are those who are compliant. Those who tried and did not finish, sorry. Common application mistakes: invalid or expired or non-compliant documents, non-compliance to the advert requirements, writing refer to proposals. Please, if you remember nothing from today's session, we hate refer to proposals, because in your proposals, it's going to be in page 2, some of it in page 17, another on page 40. No, just put what we are asking for in that block so that we do not, in the screening process, think that the application, the proposal does not fit. If there's no clear implementation plan, that is a clear indication that we're going to struggle if we appoint and we never go in that direction. Third-party reliance, generally as a SETA, we prefer to not have third-party arrangements. That is why we're saying the ATO must apply itself, not someone who will partner with the ATO, or not someone who will partner with an NGO, not a training provider who will partner with the CPF. We want the intended beneficiaries to apply themselves and to the greatest extent possible, have met the minimum requirements by themselves. Ill preparedness for due diligence. Due diligence is your one last shot to actually convince SASITA. So if we schedule a due diligence visit, you know that you've gone through the first two parts of the evaluation process. And at this part, we're wanting to verify. We get there and the CVs and qualifications of your project team are not there. But why are we there in the first place? So make sure that everything that we ask for in the advert, the stuff that we do not ask for in the application, put it in a folder, in a file, sorry, so that should you be successful, that information is readily available. If you're saying I'm going to work, this is the facilitator that is going to you better make sure that there is an agreement with that facilitator, psychologist, or whoever, that this is the training that they're going to do. It's not things that you're going to start doing only at due diligence. I'm done. Very important, if you have questions for us, please email nonpivotal@sasita.org.za. Excuse me. I need to indicate above, as you have seen, it's taken us 2 hours and a little bit to go through and explain. The calls that come through sometimes do take a while, and you might be trying to call in. To the extent possible, please submit written requests. I specifically recommend it because we do not get to a he said, she said situation. You cannot at a later stage, as part of your appeal, say, I called and the call center said, because you say, this is what you say, they say that, you know, it doesn't assist anyone. Also, it enables us to ask for clarity, and also it enables my team, if there's anything that they're not understanding in the question, we don't have a broken telephone, they will forward your email as is, and it will come to me, and I will give the response. There is a team of 1, 2, 3, 4 of us who have access to this mailbox, and it is something that we will attend to very actively until the 28th of November. And for the very last time, I am taking the last round of questions, and we can call it a day with a few minutes to spare. You, Blessing, Sakasha Isandla Mpemba Yezwa. Blessing, I recognize you. You may ask your question.
Ngiyabonga Sithondo's presentation. Ebengicela ukwazi mina ngivela kwi-CPF. Ngiyezwa kwabanye ama-requirements ukuthi what you want. To us udinga only the letter from station commissioner. Bengifuna ukuchecka nje lokho ukuthi maphi amanye ama-requirement engathi basically adingakala if isenza i-submission yethu or i-proposal.
Yabazi mabethi funda Thembi.
Yes.
Funda ke nawe Thembi nanga.
Okay.
Nanga Thembi.
Okay,
I-proposal
right.
Asho naphi. Nanka awu7.
Oh, 7. Okay.
Nanka. Funda la ku-advert, proposal, proof of registration, iletha ku-commander, blah 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 blah. Uma uthi CPF, are you a registered CPF? Uma ningekho registered, ibuphi nje ubufakazi ongasinikeza bona ukuthi you exist. Kodwa ku-station commander uzobe sekusizile athi hawu sisebenza nawo. Very important ke Mpemba. Uma ungaphumi kulama police station, so area or CPF that it is based and operating in, it must be one of these.
Okay.
So it's not for wonke ama CPF. Lana, we've got a very clear objective of working with police stations that are that have the highest number of crimes. So if useGauteng uzibheka la kanjalo.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Sithando. Thanks.
Sibonge.
Sure.
Ebo, Gloria, what are you trying to present to us? Gloria, are you hijacking my briefing session? Do we have any other questions? Mpemba, is this a new hand? Blessing? Okay, old hand. Let's come back. Is it clear as mud, colleagues? Are we going to step out of here, put all the things that need to be in place? Thanks, Fabio. We put our proposals together. We wow SASITA. We start great partnerships, and we do what we need to do for our country. So I can relax and wait for proposals. Everybody understands, right? If you're shy, you can also use the chat box. Otherwise, I'm happy. Thank you, Fabio, Aviation Training Organization. Yeah, thanks, Fabio. They call it the civil aviation thingy. They call it something else. But thank you for the correction. We are going to definitely be learning. Oh, thanks, my colleagues at the call center. I see you putting together they've posted the link if you want to. It has been an absolute pleasure of ours. I've got the whole team here in the boardroom. They've been listening, noting the type of questions that are coming from the floor. We hope to see each other on the other side called on the email nanpivotal@sasita.org.za. With no further inputs from the colleagues, we may adjourn today's session. I wish you all the best in your applications. We will upload the slides to assist you. We will upload the recording to assist you. Then you really have no reason to submit a successful application. Have a great day further.
Sotondos.
Mpem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.